Hello, welcome to my channel, Have Roots Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I am a professional genealogist and absolutely passionate traveler. And I travel, but I travel sometimes through time and space, not always physically, because that's what genealogy is all about, going backwards and really exploring the lives of the people you are trying to understand. And that's what began this channel a few years ago, actually more than a few years ago, in 2021. I began this channel and I said, I want to study different people. And the Filles du Roi began my journey. And then I added this new series, Les Filles Mariées, who came before the King's Daughters. Les Filles Mariées truly are the founding grandmothers. They came to a place in Quebec and New France that was in many respects not civilized, was truly at the very beginning. Even though those who came to Montreal, it was again a very, very, very primitive place. So we are ever so grateful to these ladies. So I wanted to honor their contribution. Now, before we begin, let me show you ways you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Like the video, that gets the word out. The likes help with the algorithms. And notify. So that you are notified. If you click that little bell, it will tell you every time I post something. And then the next three are ways to help the channel grow. The first is with the YouTube memberships. They start at 99 cents and go all the way to $24.99. And there's two in between, I believe, at $4.99 and $9.99. Each of those levels will give you access immediately to anything I post. So you don't have to wait in line to wait for all of them, because I generally post a month out. So you would then get access to all of the next month's videos immediately. In addition, you are given perks and different videos. For example, if you wanted to order a free video of one of your or more, you are eligible to receive up to, some of you can get 10 or 20 videos delivered to your inbox, so to speak, to keep. And then we also have the PayPal button on my website, Have Roots Will Travel. A lot of you do that as well. Thank you. And then this is something new, the super thanks. A lot of people like to just kind of give as they see fit. And this is a nice way to do it. If you like a video, you can super thank it and give a certain amount to say, hey, I really like the content. So thank you to all of you. And let's get started with the show and get to know our next Filles Mariées. Today we're going to be looking at Les Filles Mariées, episode 128, Jacqueline Borde or Borde. Either one of them is fine. This comes to us from a viewer request, and I did not have her in my file. So let's get to know Jacqueline a little bit better. Jacqueline was born in 1637 in Rueil, France. It's now known as Rueil-Malmaison, but at that point it was only known by its first word. The parents were Dimanche, I love that name, Desbordes and Radigon Valentin. Rueil-Malmaison is a picturesque commune located approximately 8 miles west of central Paris, and it is found in the Hauts-de-Seine department of the Île-de-France region. It has a population of about 80,000, and it's considered now one of the wealthiest suburbs of Paris. Malmaison was a resort for the Merovingian kings during the 6th to 8th centuries. The town suffered destruction in 1346 when it was burned by the Black Prince, son of Edward III of England. The name Malmaison derives from the Latin mala mansion, meaning ill-fated domain, possibly referencing a royal residence destroyed by the Vikings in 846. Just incredible how far, and how old these places are. The Église Saint-Pierre Saint-Paul has a rich history as well and dates back to the 12th century. The original church suffered significant damage during the 100 Years' War and was largely destroyed. In 1584, Antoine the Exiled, King of Portugal, laid the foundation stone for a new church on the same site. The current facade was constructed between 1632 and 1635. And it was actually commissioned by Cardinal Richelieu himself. And in 1622, Christophe Perrault, a counselor to the Parliament in Paris, had a chateau built on the site called Malmaison, an estate that would become in the following century the property of the future Empress Josephine, i.e. Napoleon's wife. So really an extraordinary history where she comes from. So after her father's death, she comes to New France approximately 1651. I can only imagine the shock of being from so close to Paris, even during that time, and then arriving on the shores of Quebec City. It would just have been extraordinary. She selected, and who selected her? His name was Claude Charland de Francard. Francard means, open heart. In other words, it's a beautiful word. And he was born about 1627. Some have him down at 1620, but we'll take the 1627 date. And he is from Châteauroux in France. His parents were Jean Charland and Catherine Mabille. You can see he is part of the Centre Val de Loire. And inside of that, he is part of the Indre Département. And you can even see where Châteauroux really is there. It's a historic town. And it's named after the Chateau Raoul, a medieval fortress built in the 10th century by Raoul le Large. By the 17th century, around the time that we are exploring, Châteauroux was a modest but important local center for agriculture and small-scale commerce. It wasn't a major city like Paris or Orléans, but it had a growing reputation for its farmland and was closely tied to the Berry region's traditions. The region of Berry. Many settlers to New France came from rural towns like Châteauroux, bringing them with them a very hardworking, humble way of life. Saint Christophe was actually the original parish of Châteauroux during the medieval period. The church of Saint Christophe existed before the later Saint André Church became the main parish. By the 17th century, the parish of Saint Christophe still existed, but it was beginning to be overshadowed as Châteauroux grew larger. We do not have any information about when Claude would arrive in New France. He would have had to be there and arrive before the fall of 1651 because there were no ships that would come through. And so at least in 1651, the same as his bride, the first time we hear of him is his actual wedding. So in January of 1652, Jacqueline and Claude were married. Very young. Just amazing. Amazing that they kind of found each other. Sillery is now one of the boroughs of Quebec City, but for over 3 centuries it was its own little independent city, and it was only in 2002 that Sillery lost that cityname and was amalgamated into the larger city of Quebec. Sillery was first established as Canada's first Indian reserve, and it was first named, not Sillery, but Saint Joseph. And the money for establishing that first settlement was provided by a man named Noël Brulard de Sillery. Unfortunately, the native population fell victim to disease and other issues, and the reserve failed. But the town eventually named the town Sillery in honor of its benefactor, and it would go on to become an important player in Quebec's lumber industry. You can see on the upper left of your screen the beautiful, beautiful scene of Sillery and being right on the coast. And if you look, you'll see like a church steeple. On the bottom right, that is the church that you see there. It wasn't always there, of course. It took a while for Sillery to get its own church. But definitely that is the newest version, if you will. I also have included a Sillery and Saint Foy and Cap Rouge, just to give you an idea of what the amalgamation. This is all of Quebec City. Charlebourg is not part of it. Beauport, all of that was amalgamated in 2002. And finally, on your screen, you can see the Maison des Jésuites de Sillery, or the Jesuits' House of Sillery. A fort was created here in the mid-1600s and would have been present during the time that they would have been there. This actual house was the one built after the fort burned down twice and dates from 1703 to 1730 for construction. So we know that Jacqueline and Claude would have seen it, could have seen it. Let's put it to you that way. And that's kind of a neat thing to see. They would go on to have three children. Noël Joseph would marry Marie Turcotte and would have five children, all of whom would make it to adulthood. Marie's mother was Isabelle Giroux, who we profiled in episode Fille Mariée 87, and I provided the link for you. The second son unfortunately died at birth. The third son, Denis Hyacinthe, was born in 1656 and married Marie Gautier, whose mother was Fille du Roi Marguerite Moitié, who we profiled in episode 67 of the Fille du Roi, and I provided the link for you as well. Absolutely gone too soon. Jacqueline would pass away in April of 1660. She was just 23 years old, and they had been married a mere 7 years. And so here Claude is left with his two sons. So what's next? The next step in this story will be provided in episode 129 of Les Filles Mariées as we explore what's next for Claude and his sons. And so we end our story of Jacqueline. I mean, she really left us so young. She's like an angel that came to New France and gave us a gift of her two sons and carried on, permitted her husband to carry on with his next phase that we'll look at in the next episode. But, you know, my daughter just turned 24, 23. Unbelievable. So we are so grateful, Jacqueline, for your bravery and your courage and ultimately your sacrifice. We bless your memory. And I also want to say thank you to my patron supporters and subscribers. You are truly the wind beneath my wings. So thank you for all of your support and kindness through the many, many months and years that I've been doing this. Appreciate you very, very much. And we'll see you on the next episode of Les Filles Mariées. Until then, au revoir.